Ensuring that your camera is perfectly focused on your chosen spot within the landscape is a vital part to taking good photographs. In this video, I'm going to show you how I ensure that my camera, in this case the Fuji X-T4, achieves perfect focus for landscape photography. So it's quite a moody atmospheric day here at the coast, and shortly I'll take a few photographs to try and help illustrate the points I want to make in this video. But for me, there's two different types of situations that I encounter when I'm out doing landscape photography, and I approach focusing slightly different in both situations. The first situation is when I've got time to ensure that my camera is perfectly focused. Now, it doesn't take a long time, but it might take a few seconds. So that's typically when my camera is on a tripod, I've got my composition set and there's no real urgency, so I can take a few seconds to ensure I've got perfect focus. The other situation is often when I'm walking along or perhaps shooting handheld and something just happens, or I can see it's going to happen in half a second or a second's time, and I need to just grab the shot. At times like that, I don't have the necessary time always to ensure that the camera is perfectly focused. So I'm going to break this video into three parts. The first part is how I approach those quick reaction scenes. The second part is going to be when I've got more time and I can guarantee perfect focus. And then the third part of the video, I'm going to give you some bonus tips which could help with your focusing on the Fuji X-T4. So I've found something just in front of me here which I think makes for a rather interesting composition. We've got some rather moody skies off in the distance. The sea is rolling in from my right. I've got some interesting rocks in what I would call the midground of my image, and we've got some really interesting rocks, some really lovely shapes in the foreground. Now, I do have time to set up a tripod here. It'll be a little bit awkward, but I'm just going to use this scene in front of me to illustrate how I would take a photograph if I need to react really quickly and I don't have time to ensure the camera is focused perfectly. So for example, if there was a ship coming in here quickly and I only had a second to take the shot, this is how I would do it. So first of all, I set up the camera with back button focusing. You don't need to do that, but it's my preferred method. So the shutter button simply takes the image and I focus using the AF on button in the back. Next, for the focus mode selector on the front, that's set to S for single autofocus. For the autofocus mode itself, I'm in single point autofocus and I like to use the smallest point. I just find it focuses more accurately using that method. So I basically look through the EVF, use the focus stick on the back to navigate around the screen, move my focus point, focus on my selected spot, hit AF on for back button focus, and then quickly take the shot. And obviously all that will happen almost instantly within a second or so because I'm so used to doing it. So I'll do that now and I'll show you the image that I've captured. There we go, as simple as that. The problem that I find with autofocus in general is that although it does a fantastic job the majority of the time, I don't trust it 100%. It sometimes fails. There can be various reasons for that. There can be certain situations where a camera's autofocus struggles. So I don't use that method I've just shown you in part one of this video all the time. I simply use it when I'm really pushed for time and I need to grab a shot quickly. So on to part two of this video, and I'm going to show you the method that I use typically when my camera's on a tripod, although it doesn't have to be, and I've got more time and I'm able to check with 100% certainty that my camera has achieved perfect focus on the spot that I want. So I've found something here which is really interesting to me. I think it's going to make quite a nice photograph. We've got all these wonderful dark rocks with wonderful shapes and patterns going on, and we've got quite an interesting background behind me here as well. So I'm going to take this photograph. I'm going to use the second technique, which is the one I use when I want to guarantee perfect focus from my Fuji X-T4. And then I'm going to show you the image that I capture later in the video. Unfortunately, due to the lighting at the moment, if I try and show the back of my camera screen to show you what I'm doing, there's tremendous glare. So I'm simply going to point in a different direction and show you my technique, but that's the technique I will have used to capture this image. And for this one, I'm probably going to focus stack, so I'll use the technique but focus on two different points. But anyway, let's show you this technique I use to guarantee perfect focus. So to demonstrate the method that I use when I want to be 100% sure that my X-T4 has focused accurately, I've simply pointed my camera out to sea. I've not set up any sort of composition, but it's just easier for me to demonstrate if I'm pointed in this direction. I've also overexposed the image just so you can see it a little bit better. So all settings for this method are identical to what I described in part 1 of the video, so I'm not going to go over that again. And for argument's sake, let's say I want to focus on these rocks. So what I do is move the focus point until it is over the rocks. I then press the rear command dial, which zooms in, and if you rotate the dial you'll see there's two levels of zoom. So I want to be at maximum zoom level. I then simply press AF on, which is the button I've got assigned to focus, and the camera will then focus on this point. Now, because I've used this camera a long time, I can see instantly if it's focused correctly or not. And sometimes it doesn't do that. Most of the time it will, but sometimes it won't. So if I'm in any doubt, I'll just simply refocus again, and I can see on the back of my screen here that that is perfectly sharp. So all I would do then is zoom out and take the image. So I'll adjust the exposure to roughly there. 2-second timer is on, and then I'll take the shot. And then, assuming I've got all the other settings correct regarding my aperture and so on, and I want the whole image sharp, I know everything will be sharp because I've focused in the correct spot and I've ensured the camera is focused accurately on that spot. On to part 3 of this video, and I want to finish by giving you a few extra tips which I think you may find helpful. So for the first tip, what if you're not 100% sure the camera has focused accurately? What I do in that situation is I focus using the method I described in part 2 of the video, and if I'm still not 100% sure the camera is perfectly focused, or I can see due to the situations it's struggling to focus, I'll then reach round the front and turn into manual focus. I can then zoom in to the maximum zoom level and adjust my focus using the focus ring. So that seems about right to me, and you'll be easily able to tell using this method if the camera was already perfectly focused or if you can improve and do a better job using the focus ring. You can also turn on focus peaking to assist with this, and that should really help you nail focus. So the light really is fading now here at the coast. The sun is almost at horizon level and it's behind some clouds. So I've had the best of the day for photography. I'm going to pack up and head home. But I want to finish this video by giving you my second tip. And this is something which will hopefully help you regarding focusing on your Fuji X-T4. So I've got a note of what I want to say here because some of the settings are quite a mouthful to remember. But if you go into the menus, you'll find a performance option. And if you set that to boost, it will help the camera focus better, but it does use a bit more battery power. The second setting to look for is the EVF/LCD boost setting, and you want to set that to EVF/LCD resolution priority. I told you it was quite a mouthful. And what that's going to do is make the details, be it on the EVF or your rear screen, easier to see. It's just going to make everything a little bit sharper. That can really help when you're focusing, and it can also help when you're reviewing your images at playback to see if all parts of the image that you want in focus are in focus. So I really hope the information that I've provided you with throughout this video will help you in regards focusing your Fuji X-T4 next time you're out doing some landscape photography. As always, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video.